I want to start off with a clip, though. I want to start off with what I am calling a very underhand, nasty tactic from TalkSport towards the or one of the greatest managers of all time. We don't need to have that debate. Let's take a little listen here.
Gary Lineker has also come out and said that he's blaming Sir Alex Ferguson for the start of Manchester United's decline with the team that he left. And he says that part of the problem that they're in now is because of him. Well, I can't go. I'm sorry, mate. I can't agree with that.
I've said this before. I totally agree with him. But that ship has sailed. When Sir Alex left, the squad that he left for David Moyes was no. I know everyone's saying, yeah, we won the Premier League that year. Yeah, but look at the squad. Look what he left. He didn't build a squad. That wasn't a squad that was being built for years to come. And David, you know, one of the biggest signings that he made, one of, I think it might have been the last, was Robin van Persie. He brought him in, 30, I think he was, or around that age. He was the reason they lost the title the year before, because they lost on goal difference. Sir Alex realised, I can't do that again. I'm going to buy a player that's going to get me the goals, because if it comes down to that, we're going to win. And he won it, and he left. David Moyes picks up, I have to say, the squad that he inherited.
I know, but you can't blame that now, can you?
Not
blame
not
Man United in this position because Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, come on.
No, I agree with that.
It's outrageous.
Not now, but it was the start of the decline.
Yeah.
The start of the decline was buying Van Persie and not building the squad for the future. I've heard this a few times. What do you gents make of that?
Just quickly, who did they say said that at the start of the video?
Gary Lineker is blaming Alex Ferguson for the start of the decline. Gary Lineker.
Listen, I think I'm sort of with Cundy there. I think that yes, Ferguson didn't leave United in the best position. However, and I do feel that like he should have, if he knew he was coming to the end of the period at United, as he probably did, I think he should have got that squad to a little bit of a better period before he left. However, having said that, like realistically, United still spent like what 1.5-2 billion pound on transfer fees since he left. They've gone through 8 managers. I think that like there's if you had 100% blame, right? Like, and you can allocate certain percentages to the Glazers, to Ineos, to the new managers, to the players, to the fans, whatever you want to blame it. I would probably put Ferguson maximum 10% blame.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't put any of it down to the squad build. I would say that he probably shouldn't have insisted on Moyes taking over, and we actually should have had a stronger board who said no. We're picking.
Well, that was what 12 years ago, 11 years ago. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, if you, so what would you give it? You're a United fan. What would you give it on a percentage basis?
On a percentage, for me, it's 5 to 10%. It's 5 to 10%. Firstly,
it can't be more than that.
Firstly, with Gary Lineker, right? I've always been, I was a fan of him as a player. I've always thought he's a good host on television and everything else. But fuck you, Lineker, and I hope you hear this. Do you want to know why? The decline started in 2012, 2013. You rat of a man. Gary Lineker goes out and has dinner with the Glazers. He's friends with them. The Glazers took over in 2005, lumbered us with hundreds of millions of pounds worth of debt, and they never fully backed us in many transfer windows. There was many a transfer window where if we would have spent the money that we had available to us, we could have bought even better than we did. So we undercooked that squad for a number of years. Fergie's brilliance, some amazing transfer business for the likes of Javier Hernandez got us through. But there were years where we should have been signing Aguero, not City. We should have been getting David Silva, not City. And we didn't allow the money to be spent. Okay. And Gary Lineker never called the Glazers out. He's actually slagged off Man United fans for criticizing them. So all due respect, Lineker, you rat. The reason that the decline started was in 2005.
Yep.
And the only reason it was our winning was prolonged was because of Sir Alex Ferguson.
Can I just say one other thing on that as well? Yeah, I give it like 10%, right? But that reduces with time. So in 2015, a couple of years after Fergie, you might have put a 40% blame on Fergie at that point, or 50%, or 60%. But the longer it goes on, since Ferguson was at the football club, the smaller that percentage has to cut, because you can't keep blaming Ferguson. And to be fair, Cundy then said, like, not now, but you can't blame him. It's 12 years, 13 years down the line for what's going on now. It's got nothing to do with it.
Of course you can't. And also, look, I'm not going to plagiarize. This is Rio Ferdinand put this out earlier today. The average age of that squad was 26 years of age. Rooney was 27, Van Persie 29, Chicharito 25. Danny Welbeck, who, by the way, could be doing a solid job for us now. Now he could be. He's still a very good player. We let him go at 22, 23 years of age for pittance. We had Zaha that we never gave a chance to. Nani was 26. Ashley Young still playing Premier League football now and is better than half our squad. He was there at the time. Lingard was only 20. Shinji Kagawa was there 24. Valencia was 27. And we had young Adnan Januzaj coming through. There was a lot of young players in that. The next 2 to 3 years, you add up the amount of money we spent. If we would have hired the right manager, and our biggest mistake was not even going to Moyes. It was recoverable after employing Moyes. The mistake we have made, and we know it now with hindsight, is that what we did for each new managerial appointment is try and reinvent the wheel. Instead of saying, this is the squad we've got. 12 months ago, they were champions of England on 89 points, by the way. It wasn't a luck. We didn't win it with 60 points and everyone else was crap. It was 89 points. The same amount of points as the Aguero season that the City won it on. One of the myths that the reason we won it is because Van Persie scored more goals. We scored less goals that season. We scored less goals the year we won it than the season we didn't win it. It's a media myth that even most Man United fans are bought into. They really, really have. So for me, we had that. And the problem is, instead of bringing in a head coach, you went, I love the squad. I love the profiles. I can make this work. Like we've seen Slot and Liverpool do this season, and them saying, actually, look, let's spend 200 or 300 million, but enhance on what we've got. We kept on trying to reinvent the wheel. Let's try and create the LVG way of managing the club. That hasn't worked. Let's create the Jose way of winning the club. It was those mistakes of continuing to start these stupid new projects, wasting money and creating these Frankenstein squads. That's why we're here today. It had nothing to do with buying Van Persie and Fergie retiring a little earlier than expected to because his sister-in-law died and it was the right thing to do for his family. So that's when I say it's a nasty dig. You're removing the context of why Sir Alex stepped down. You're ignoring the amount of money that's been spent since. The quality of that Man United team. We got knocked out that season by Real Madrid in the Champions League because of the Nani red card. We were en route to knocking Madrid out, who at the time had an amazing team. It wasn't like we were looked at as no chance in the Champions League, bang average side. It's just the rewriting of history. And the problem is a lot of youngsters will cotton onto it because 12 years ago is a long time. I remember it like it was yesterday. Last time we were good as well. Of course, I remember it. The lies for me as a United fan. I'm just not going to have Sir Alex Ferguson's tenure diminished in any way with these kind of frivolous bullshit accusations that he was the start of the decline. No, that started in 2005. But the hemorrhaging of money, the disgusting projects, and letting bankers run our clubs, that, by the way, people like Cundy and Lineker, these rats barely, if ever, call out. Shame on you for putting it on Sir Alex Ferguson. Mugs.
Can I add one extra point, yeah, before Popsy comes in, right? You know the whole thing about blaming him for the Moyes thing as well. That's also on the club because the club allowed Ferguson to pick the manager. I've always said when Pep Guardiola leaves, I don't want him to pick the next manager because he's not a sporting director. He's a manager. He's a coach. I want Hugo Viana or Tiki or whoever's in charge of that job to pick the manager because it's their job. It's their job. So yes, he shouldn't have picked Moyes, and that was an L. Yes, he might have left the squad in a slightly bad position. However, that on its own is so minuscule to everything else that's gone on. And I'd love to sit here and cook him. And like I say, I do probably give him 10% blame, and even that might be too much. But there's so much other stuff that's gone on at the club. Yeah, the decision. I remember when you decided to go, you went on that buying English and buying Premier League proven players when you're buying like Schneiderlin and that. Yeah, was that fucking? Do you remember that era? That was kind of mad.
We bought Schneiderlin and Bastian Schweinsteiger. I think we announced both those deals in the space of a few days.
Crazy. Was that Fergie's fault?
And this is just it. And the reason with decline is, as I've said already, is because we keep doing it project to project, And I know fans are sick and tired of these words, but they exist. They exist. I don't know who it was. Somebody was phoned in to talk sport, I think. And I think it was a dig at Arsenal, and it was like, what phase is Nuno in? It was someone said, well, what part of the project is Nuno in? A caller on Talk Sport. And they all laughed. And I'm sitting there going, oh, this is just getting boring now. Their owner took over in 2017. They've been building to this point, Nottingham Forest, since 2017. They're 8 fucking years into building this. This is what people... And yes, they've made some managerial appointments that haven't worked, but they've stayed the course. They've continued to grow. They haven't gone every 18 months, just rip it up and start again. Just rip it up and start again. Villa didn't start a rebuild under Unai Emery. He started 6 fucking years ago. And that's the bit for me. Man United fans will not acknowledge this. And it infuriates me. Mad how angry I get about this as an Arsenal fan. But it's like we are where we are because we don't pick a way of operating and build, complete the build and see where we are and go from there. We can never pick up from where Fergie left us because it's broken now. It's finished. The toothpaste is out of the tube. We have to start again from scratch, like Forest did in 2017, like Villa did about 5-6 years ago, like when Tony Bloom took over Brighton all those years back, like Arsenal did when Josh Kroenke got promoted 5 or so years ago, like City did in 2009. It was a brand new project and a process to get to where they are now. City didn't become Centurions just because of the 2017-2018 season. It was everything that came before it. So I'm sick and tired of Man United fans ignoring it. And I'm just annoyed at the terrible commentary and punditry and insight we get from the so-called fucking professionals. These are rats. Over to you, LB. I'm going to calm myself. Sorry, Potsy, I'm going to calm myself down.
So the first thing I agree with is that Gary Lineker is a nightmare. I've never rated him. I've never liked him. I've never understood any of his opinions. And if I'm honest, from people that I've been fortunate enough to meet in this game that know him, say he's probably one of the worst people you can meet in football. So there you go. There's a bit of an insight to who he is and what sort of opinions that guy has. Look, in terms of the actual debate, it's laughable, right? It's absolutely laughable that we can be 12 years on and we were looking back to say, yeah, really, this is all on Fergie. The players that he would have brought in, let's say he left Man United in an unbelievable position where you had the best squad by far. They'd all be retired now anyway, because it's 12 years on. So they'd be either retired or they'd be coming to the end of their careers, right? Unless they were all 16, 18 when they signed for him, right? So I don't know how anyone can look towards that. I think it's absolutely crazy. And to say that he left him in a bad position, I actually disagree with that. I don't think that team was the best by far to win that league. And I think he got and squeezed the most out of it. But it wasn't like they're a bunch of scrubs. I mean, Van Persie, for example, was unbelievable. Wayne Rooney, you've read out the other names of those. David Moyes brought in Juan Mata and Fellaini. That was it. That was his first window. So if really you want to have a look at how bad it was, that's not a great window, is it, for Manchester United? Let's be real. Juan Mata and Fellaini and then a few loan players.
Just on that very quickly, I'll come back to you straight away. We also, and this is the thing, who did we get to run the club? Woodward. Woodward turned down the opportunity to sign Tony Kroos in the summer of 2013 and signed Fellaini.
Why did he do that?
I don't remember the exact details now, but this is what we did. We were working on that deal.
They had Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick.
But it was so we turned that deal down.
Good players, but obviously,
yeah, they are.
And then we could have signed Fellaini for like 17 million. We let it go past the deadline and end up paying 10 million pound more. But yeah, Fergie leaving was the problem. Sorry, Potsy, back to you. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And there's not much more I can add on this other than they are talking absolute rubbish. And there are some wild takes you hear, right? And we love him in this game. That's got to be one of the wildest I've heard in a long time, man. To even go and mention that Sir Alex Ferguson, I mean, I don't think you're being mean to put 10% blame on him. I think that's maybe too much.
What would you put on him? What would you put on him?
Under 5? I don't see how this guy can be blamed for anything at Manchester United going wrong when he has been the reason that they are the most successful club in England. Like, I just don't know how.
You know what I think it is for me, Potsy? I think people said this at the time, back in like 2013, 2014 when he left.
Yeah.
And I think it was true. But then, as I said, the percentage gets less and less each year because every year. So, and I don't think these people have moved on. No. So there are certain people out there that are still blaming him now. When, yeah, maybe blaming him 2015, it was fair. You said, why the fuck did he give us mice? Why the hell did he leave us with this death squad? Oh, he's killed us. Fair enough. But as time goes on,
12
You
years
can't-
later, come on.
You can't
Right.
keep blaming him when you've spent £1.52 billion on transfer fees, gone through 8 different managers. You've had 2 separate owners in Glazers, and now you've got Ineos. Now they're there together, and people are still here saying that it's the Fergie's
Listen,
fault. Like,
if-
honestly, man, I'd love to blame Fergie. Honestly, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd
so
love
would
to
I.
do that, but
So would
I
I.
can't. I've struggled to.
Yeah,
I've struggled to do that.
No,
'cause
listen,
it's not
I hear
legit.
you, boys, and
Well, look,
as a United fan, I appreciate that. Sorry, Potsy, go on, mate.
No, go on. I was just going to end by saying that if Sir Alex Ferguson was still there now, if Sir Alex Ferguson was still playing a 50-year-old Fellaini, Van Persie, Fletcher, Carrick, and all this, I could sit there and totally agree with it, right? But how you can put that guy in any form of blame in the last 11, 12 years, when, let's be real, most Man United fans that I speak to now would just put him in charge now of this team because they know that they get better out of him than anyone. This
Yeah.
guy is absolute genius. I mean, how he can win the league with that set. And I'm not saying it was a bad squad, right? But listen, it is honestly a crazy, crazy take to even put any form of blame on him. That's my opinion. And I don't like the man, but, you know.
No,
it is what it
listen,
is.
I hear you. I hear you. And it's always about time to rectify as well, as you both pointed out. So I think in the summer, I get a gut feeling that Arteta probably said to the board, we don't need more attackers. I have faith in what we've got. I have faith that Odegaard's going to score like 2 seasons ago. We can get Martinelli back to his best. Kai Havertz is the guy. I think he would have pushed for that decision in the summer. My gut feeling tells me that. But come January, the board could have rectified that mistake. They didn't. Therefore, I look at it now with your injury problems and go, yeah, the initial mistake may be made by Arteta by saying we're fine. But that's what a top-level sporting director and a top-level board do, is they rectify these mistakes quickly and don't allow them to happen again. And that, for me, is why you can try and put as much blame on Fergie as you want. But we've had 12 summer windows, 12 January transfer windows since he left, £2 billion spent, £2 billion spent on wages. I can't blame him anymore. Even if he left, even if you say, yeah, left a weak squad and he was stupid to appoint Moyes, we have had 12 years to rectify those mistakes and we've spent the money to do it. Again, for Gary Lineker, the rat, to blame Fergie rather than his friends, the Glazers. And all we've got to do, people, is Google Gary Lineker, the Glazers, see him out to dinner, socializing. So for me, and that's why I've always said, that's why the media never attacked him. They're friends with them all. It's crazy to me. So yeah, again, I'll blame Fergie for certain things that went wrong at United, bad signings, this, that, and the other. I blame him for not getting, Gascoigne. I blame him for getting rid of Stan when he shouldn't. But I am never going to blame him for where Man United are today. Absolutely not on your Nelly. Viewers, I would love your take on that. We'd love to get your opinion on it.